Welcome to episode number 28 of Ask EJ. That's me. All right, got 3 questions you guys have submitted. So my dirty hippie's gonna give me my 3. All right.
Number 1 comes from Jeremy out of Wheaton, Illinois.
Illinois. All right.
EJ, would you consider getting together with Jocko Willink for a podcast? Also, would you ever consider partnering with Tim Kennedy for a training class?
Hell yeah, on both accounts. Yeah, yes, and yes, and yes. That would be awesome. Yeah. Yes. Why? Can you make that happen? Is that what you're saying? Jeremy?
Let's make it happen, Jeremy.
That would be awesome. All right. Well, that was an easy question.
There we go.
That's about as yes and affirmative as I can get.
I've never heard a yes answer from you. With your non-answers.
My non-answers. I love coming and watching your non-answers. Yeah. Well, that's because most people are wanting to be so divisive in their answers. Okay? The train's going by. And in this industry, it's very easy to be polarized. You know, like I am a this guy, period. I run with this clique, this group. Regardless of what the scenario is or the reasoning, I am all this. You know, it's a lot like, this industry is a lot like watching NFL football. You know, you're either a this fan or a that fan, and if anybody talks crap about your team, you know, they're wanting to throw down. I kind of look at it the opposite. Those teams are to support my game, my survival. So what works the best is what I go with. It doesn't really matter the company name, okay? Because at the end of the day, you know, old St. Pete ain't gonna meet me at the gates and be like, hey EJ, I know you got smoke checked by that fool, but at least you had this maker's product, so you know, we're gonna let bygones be bygones. So it's all about your survival and what product works for you. That's what it should be about, though. You know, this industry is so predispositioned to want to pick a side. The side I'm on is my survival. Anyway, I digress. I'm chasing rabbits again. I do.
No worries.
All right.
Cool. Ryan from Puyallup, Washington.
Who say what?
Puyallup. Puyallup.
Okay. Again, you could be right.
I could be right. I could be wrong. You never know. Do you feel that that military firearms training is adequate for when out of uniform, or should everyone also take civilian training as the situational awareness and environment is different?
Military firearms training, while it parallels a lot of the shooting aspect of what you may find yourself doing as far as grip and you know, trigger pull, reset, sight alignment, yes, there's some parallels. However, I've never found myself drawing from concealment while wearing full battle rattle. Also, in the military, it's always assumed, even if you read doctrine, it's always assumed that the enemy is in front. So look at what we use suppressive fire for, right? We're gaining fire superiority over the enemy in order to limit their movement and to allow us to maneuver to a position of advantage, right? You don't have that luxury in civilian world because you can't lay down a hail of bullets in the Walmart in order to get the bad guy to, you know, pause for a moment while your buddy does a flanking maneuver. You're responsible for every bullet that comes out of your gun. So you have to be very judicious, if you will, in your shots, specifically your shot placement. Also, you have liability in the civilian world that we don't typically have in the military environment. you can be so right that you're wrong in the civilian world. And right is only established after the fact. So there's a long process that goes into the law enforcement side, the judicial side, and then even more so, which is even terrible, more terrible than that, is the court of public opinion side. So in the military, we want to win the battle by any means necessary. In the civilian side, you have 3 battles that you have to win. You have to win the physical battle. All right, got to win that one. So are you prepared with your training? Is your gear and your weaponry going to work flawlessly under stress? Is your body going to perform at that necessary level? Remember, you're not going to rise to the occasion. You're going to default to the highest level you've mastered. So after the physical, the second battle is the legal battle. And that can draw on for years and years and years. It just depends, okay? And then the third is the emotional battle. So there are a lot of people who have survived the physical, endured and been exonerated in the judicial only for a certain period of time later on, whether it be 2 days, 2 months, 2 years, 20 years later on, bite down on a barrel because of the emotional battle that they're going through. So there are some unique parallels between the military and the civilian, but there are some extreme differences, and you got to know both. You got to know both. So, did I answer that?
Yeah.
I did?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess today is tangent day because I'm going on a tangent. But no, I would not say that you could take military training and come right out into the civilian world and know everything, and or have the proficiency maybe on the skill wise, but there's the laws, liability, that a lot of stuff that you have to be aware of. Like, okay, here's an example. In the military, you're overseas doing God's work for the red, white, and blue, and you point your gun at somebody for, enter a reason here. You point your gun at that dude and like, hey, show me your hands, move over here, stop doing what you're doing, whatever. Hey, you point a gun at somebody in the civilian world, you can get, charged. What is that? Brandishing, There's some other charges, out there in that assault realm that they can throw on you, and now you find yourself wearing some free jewelry and getting a taxpayer-funded taxi ride downtown, and then the battle of the unknown begins. So I will go on to say that whatever your actions are regarding your self-defense, regardless of the law believes them to be, justified or not, you've got to be able to live with that person in the mirror. And can you live with that person in the mirror in a jail cell? So that's kind of how I gauge my actions as well. All right.
Cool.
Sorry.
It's all good.
All right, here we go.
Number 3 comes from Tim from Mohawk. Didn't give a state.
Mohawk.
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 Mohawk. Cool. When do you recommend changing parts, springs, barrel, bolts, etc.? Do you look for or replace anything as a part of preventative maintenance plan? I'm asking more in relation to AR-15s. I know another viewer was asking the same thing in the comment section about his Glock.
Oh, okay. So, preventative maintenance on an AR is really your field strip, your wipe down, your clean, and then your lubrication. When we do a field strip, that's your time to check your parts. Look at your springs, look at the metal. Where is it wearing? Is it wearing evenly? And then you can make your decision from there. Certainly each manufacturer has their tolerances on recommendations for change. It usually has to do with a round count more so than anything. But short of you really just breaking something, you shouldn't need to change out a whole lot. If the easiest way to know things aren't working well is to watch how your brass flies out of your gun. So you'll see, like, sometimes brass will start dribbling down the side, like it's falling right here next to the shooter's leg. That could be an ejector. That could be an extractor. It could be a combination of them both. So that would be in your bolt. You would want to take a look at it. It could be the springs. It could be that your O-ring in your extractor has disintegrated. So you have to look at, like, it's almost like in the medical profession where you look for, symptoms, right? And signs and symptoms. So signs are what you see, and symptoms are what they tell you. So signs of wear is what you're looking for. Symptoms in a rifle would be the way the brass is ejecting, the way it's feeding, or if it's having problems feeding, whether it be a failure to feed or a double feed. Those are all symptoms, and you're seeing the result of something not working right. If you're looking at your bolt or bolt carrier group and you're seeing an uneven wear, that's a pretty good indication you probably need to take a deeper look. Now, you could take your bolt carrier group, how when we put it all back together, right? And then you put that last cotter pin in that you hope you don't bend, and then you sling it and the bolt comes out. You can stand that up on the bolt, and if it collapses underneath itself, then your gas rings need to be changed. So you're always trying to take a measurement of where your rifle is performing as an indication of what's wearing or over. It's already worn, so you need to change it out. I could give you some particulars, but it's really manufacturer dependent. Now, I know a lot of people out there say, well, it's mil spec, this is mil spec. Mil spec doesn't mean crap, guys. It just means that it was built within the tolerances that the military said they're willing to accept. However, when you have a part that is within said tolerance and you have another part that's within said tolerance, it doesn't mean that those tolerances are aligned. So, and I know it sounds like an algebraic equation again, but it's very possible to have mil-spec parts that when combined with other mil-spec parts don't work, and that's because the variability in tolerances is not aligned with those two parts. I think I said that as complicated as I could say it without a whiteboard. Hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about. So I would look at that. Now, when you do a detailed clean, you're breaking it down to parade rest, that's really when you have to do your inspection. If you're doing a detailed clean just to clean it, you're wrong. You should be looking at every individual part. If you need to get a magnifying glass with some of those little parts, do that and get really good lighting. Get all that oil wiped off of it, and then really look at it and see if it's wearing evenly, if there's some burrs on it, nicks in it, and then that'll help you make a better decision on if you need to change it out. Fortunately, parts are not really expensive, so you can get them on one of those Brownell or Midway USA or a myriad of other different sites that are out there. So here's what I do. I will go and buy a bunch of little parts, the O-rings, the springs, cotter pins, that kind of stuff, and I keep them in a box called AR parts. Each part that you need in the lower has its own little drawer, and it's labeled, said part. And then when I open up that drawer, there's a little plastic baggie that again is labeled, and I throw those parts in there. So I know what I can pull from. I never throw a damaged part back in there. It's always in the trash. And that way, when I go to a class, when I'm teaching a class, if one of my students has a catastrophic failure, or I have one, then I can throw the tailgate down and try to work on them as much as I can, get that gun back up and running. As far as a Glock, he did say Glock, right? Or pistol?
Well, he was talking about AR-15. He said someone else was asking it in the comment section once about a Glock.
About a Glock. You don't really need to worry about the Glock barrel. If you're still using the standard barrel that came with it, I mean, you're good for probably 300,000+ rounds. So I wouldn't sweat the barrel. As long as you maintain cleaning it really, really well occasionally, and because we clean it really, really well, so we can get a light down there and we can see if there's anything crazy going on, which you're probably not going to see anything crazy going on. And then if you want to go ahead and go to a detailed strip on your Glock, what you really need to look for is the springs. Okay, that spring in the trigger housing, that's what you want to be careful of. So if I buy extra of those and keep them with me, and I have a little box that I put a Glock sticker on it so it looks really official, but it's really just like a fishing hook or a fishing weight box that I got at Bass Pro. I'm not opposed to Cabela's, by the way. I just don't have a Cabela's in Memphis. I have a Bass Pro. So put the put those parts in there. So if something does happen, you know, I can fix it. Really not a lot that is going to break on a Glock. But that spring has a higher propensity over everything else of breaking. So I keep extras. All right. That was a good question, by the way.
That was 3.
All right. I feel like I've been talking forever.
Yeah, not that bad.
But you can really, there's so much information about that stuff that you can just sit here and talk about it forever. Because what ends up happening is, for the most part, especially you guys who have buddies who have ARs, or you know, you do some instructing or something like that, you see guys with different levels of understanding, mechanically speaking, of their gun. And so their questions tend to be very generalized in nature. Thankfully, the AR's platform has been around a long time, that just about anything that could go wrong with an AR has been seen. And then we now kind of can lump them into, oh yeah, I've seen that before, I've seen that before, this is how you fix this, this is how you fix that. So it's kind of common knowledge of how to fix things with an AR now. And that's good, so we can get them fixed faster and back up and running. And then the parts are readily available. So it wouldn't hurt you to buy a couple extra parts, especially when we're doing with your bolt. The bolt. It's an extra set of gas rings, an extra extractor, an extra ejector and spring, extractor, spring, and O-ring, and just have that. Now if you're going to class, I carry a full extra bolt because I don't want to sit there and mess around with O-rings. I just drop the new bolt in and we roll with it. And then when I get back, I'll fix the original bolt and put it back in. Same's on time. So for you MBA majors, that's the cost benefit analysis. Time value of money as well.
Yep.
All right, that's 3, right? Good. All right. Well, appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We'd appreciate some more subscribers. Like the comments that we're getting, and appreciate you guys writing in more questions. That'd be awesome. If you guys are a member of the Sheepdog Society, we're gonna see you guys on the inside. We'll finish up answering some more questions. So if you're you're not a member of the Sheepdog Society, you can join. It's in the description box. You get every course we've ever done. There's a multitude of courses. How many new courses do we have coming in?
We're getting 4 courses. Well, we have 4 new courses in there. The subcombat carry, rifle red dots, competitive shooting crash course,
right?
And then the newest one's going to be concealed carry essentials for women.
All right, so that's coming up real soon. So you don't want to miss out on that. That all is free with your membership. So people ask, well, what about the membership? Yeah, it's $10 a month. It's $9.99 a month. So it comes out to be like 30 and some change a day. And so if you're getting more than 30 cents worth of information from these questions being answered, you'd benefit greatly from all the myriad of other things that we have. Hours and hours and hours of content over in the Sheepdog Society on legal rifles, AKs, pistols, so medical, a whole bunch of other stuff in there. So might not be bad if you check it out. All right. Well, Sheepdog Society members, I'll see you guys in just a second. To you YouTubers, as always, stay alert and practice often.